Good afternoon. Welcome to this breaking news special report broadcast live from the Big 9 News Studios located in Celaya, Guanajuato, Mexico. I'm Jerry Brockmann. A religious artifact has been recovered from the wreckage of a crashed B-25 Mitchell bomber that was lost for over 60 years in the mountains north of the city of Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada. The Spear of Destiny, the metal spear tip that pierced the abdomen of Jesus Christ as he hung on the cross, has been found by two amateur treasure hunters in the wilderness of Canada. The incredible story of how the Spear of Destiny ended up underneath a high-altitude ice field in the rugged mountains of the Pacific Northwest is a story that spans millennia and the entire world. What makes the Spear of Destiny so special is that it is said to possess a magical power. Whomever possesses the Spear of Destiny will be invincible in battle. Over 2,000 years ago, after the Roman soldier used his spears to pierce the abdomen of Jesus Christ, as was the practice back in those days, to hasten the death of those crucified, the Roman soldier's spear, with the fresh blood of Jesus Christ still on its sharp tip, was sold to the followers of Jesus Christ. Soon after, the Roman authorities seized the spear as religious relics were banned. The Romans destroyed the spear, the staff was burnt, and the metal tip broken and discarded. The remaining pieces of the spear, parts of the metal tip, were secretly recovered by the followers of Jesus Christ, repaired, and then hidden away where the Romans would never find it. For centuries afterwards, the Spear of Destiny remained hidden, but later, throughout the ages, the Spear of Destiny was being passed from king to conqueror, as they too believed in its magical power. It is said that one warring king was only defeated when he let the Spear of Destiny slip from his divine fingers while crossing a stream on a horse. Seconds later, an arrow pierced his eye, and he died instantly, his army being defeated soon after. Centuries after, Adolf Hitler invaded Austria, and his first order was to seize the Sword of Destiny from the secure Austrian National Museum and move it to Germany. At the end of the Second World War, as Patton's forces advanced towards Berlin, they overran the secure facility that the Nazis were using to store looted historical and religious artifacts and relics, including the Spear of Destiny. Patton's men substituted the Spear of Destiny with a forgery and flew the genuine Spear of Destiny out of Europe to North America. To avoid stringent U.S. border and customs security checks, much of the looted European booty was flown across North America within Canadian airspace. The Spear of Destiny, along with a cargo of Nazi gold bullion and cash, was loaded into the bomb bay of a Mitchell B-25 bomber at the Canadian Forces Air Base in Alberta, Canada. In a deliberate act of sabotage, a lesser amount of fuel was pumped into the B-25 bomber than the flight plan called for. As the B-25 bomber neared its final approach to the airbase in Vancouver, its fuel ran out and the aircraft was unable to clear the tops of the mountain ridges immediately before the long glide down to the airport at sea level. With its engines off and propeller blades feathered, the B-25 bomber, with its valuable cargo, crashed into the solid rock of the Coast Mountain Range. The entire 5-man crew, as well as one mystery passenger, reported to be a U.S. military guardian of the cargo, died instantly upon impact. Since the aircraft was out of fuel and the engines were off, the wreckage did not burn, as is the case in almost all plane crashes. The precious cargo would be safe inside their protective cases. Minutes after the crash, a savage winter storm lasting 28 days buried the wreckage in snow along with the dead crew, the gold, the cash, and the Spear of Destiny. The crash site was not to be found for 38 years. Finally, in 1997, an old gold prospector noticed a bit of shiny aluminum sticking out from the retreating snowpack. The prospector told his young son about the shiny metal. Years later, the young son, all grown up now, hiked to where his grizzled old father found the metal. The unburnt wreckage was still mostly buried by the snowpack, and he wasn't able to access the cargo hold nor find much of anything. Several years later, 2 amateur treasure hunters, after a 10-year investigation, arrived at the B-25 crash site. By now, due to climate change, the persistent snowpack of the high-altitude ridge had retreated, exposing the entire wreckage to the open air. The 2 amateur treasure hunters, who claim to now possess the Spear of Destiny, along with the gold bullion and cash, are here with us in an exclusive interview on Big 9 News. We go now live to Brian Lemond, Senior Field Correspondent for Big 9 News. Brian, what can you tell us? Have you seen the Spear of Destiny or any of the other recovered valuables?
Jerry, I'm not quite at the meeting point yet. Very windy out here today. But what I can tell you from my talk on the phone with one of the treasure hunters, who do not wish to be identified at this time, is that their finding and recovery of the contents of the crash B-25 bomber has not turned out well for them. They told me that they are now being hunted, yes, hunted, by the Canadian military, the U.S. military, the law enforcement authorities of 4 different nations, various crazies and crackpots, and worst of all, they tell me, a growing number of religious fanatics. Jerry, up ahead are the coordinates of my meeting place with one of the amateur treasure hunters. I'm not quite there yet, so come back to me in a few minutes. Brian Lemond, Big 9 News, in the Pitt Lake region, British Columbia, Canada.
Thanks for that, Brian. We go now to Dr. Kevin Flynn of the Historical Artifacts Association based in Tawasin, Canada. Dr. Flynn, welcome to the show. You claim to have examined the Spear of Destiny as well as samples of the Nazi gold and cash. Is it real?
Well, thank you, Jerry. Good to be here. Jerry, I can tell you that this whole thing has unleashed a shitstorm on all of us involved. I'm getting threats now, lots of them, from all sides. I've gone into hiding for my own safety. It's as if a fatwa has been issued against me, merely for examining, well, as far as the authenticity of the Spear of Destiny and the gold and cash, being under the ice field for 60 years has done wonders as far as preserving the specimens. Even the wooden swastika stamped crates are in amazing condition. There was some slight damage from the plane crash, but all things being considered, pretty good. My organization, the Historical Artifacts Association, ran a battery of tests on both the Spear of Destiny and the Gold, and both are genuine as far as we can determine. There are other tests we could run, but the samples are no longer available to us. The cache I can't speak for, as it's outside my area of expertise, but it certainly looks authentic to me. There's something else you should know about. The treasure hunters, I believe they are in great danger. They should be warned if they don't know already. Even you, Big 9 News, should be worried. I have to advise you against running this news story. It's not safe. This is bigger than all of us. I really can't say more. I've got to go.